PR Connections Radio presents
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub Recap here on Vegas Hockey Hub on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, we're breaking down the most recent game that happened with your Vegas Golden Knights. So there's going to be a lot of good back and forth discussion we are going to be talking about here on the show. Unfortunately, this game did not go the way that Golden Knights fans were expecting it to go, but we're going to break it down and cover everything that happened in this game. So there's going to be some stuff that we are going to be discussing on this show. Now, go to PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Check out all of the amazing content we have on the network. We have about a dozen shows on the platform, including Vegas Hockey Hub. So go to PRConnectionsRadio.com. Or if you want to support the network, subscribe to the YouTube channel and like this video at PR Connections, or go to social media at PR Connections Radio, all major platforms. We are also on every single platform at Vegas Hockey Hub. So we have a YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We are everywhere every single day, uploading and posting content to at Vegas Hockey Hub. And if you want to follow your host, I am on all social media platforms as well at Ian J. Rachiele. So, wow, what a game this was, and not in a positive way, not a what a game, more of a what a game. So this unfortunately did not pan out in the Vegas Golden Knights' favor. And when it comes to the Detroit Red Wings, a team that's battling for a playoff spot, this team has been a wild card contender for majority of the season. So this is going to be an interesting one to go over and discuss here on the show. Now, when we're stopping and mentioning the Detroit Red Wings, I just want to acknowledge very quickly, Dylan Larkin did a solid job in this game. No doubt about it. Dylan Larkin, he has done a spectacular job this season with Detroit. One of the reasons why they have been successful this season. So I have to give my props very quickly before we get into the pregame notes, just kind of setting up the tone here. So Detroit Red Wings, Dylan Larkin. I mean, this team so far this year, 26, 18, and 5. I mean, they are a playoff contender, like I said before. I mean, right now in the Atlantic, you see Tampa Bay, Boston, Florida. You know, Toronto's gotten up to kind of a mediocre start, but they're going to get back up into it. So the Atlanta, you know, when you look at the Eastern Conference, Detroit's going to kind of be around there as well. But you know what? This is Vegas Hockey Hub. Okay, we're talking about the Vegas Golden Knights. We're talking about your Vegas Golden Knights. And, you know, just like my day job says, you know, we need to aim high and we need to achieve a lot better. That's what the Vegas Golden Knights need to do in this game tonight. And really to kick this off, just going into the roster moves during the pregame notes, Michael Amadio has been activated from the IR. So Michael Amadio, who suffered an injury a couple of games ago, he has been missing action. He will be cleared. He will be with the Vegas Golden Knights, will be in the starting lineup. So that's good news to have him activated from the IR and being a member of your Vegas Golden Knights, being back in the starting lineup. That's really solid for him. Unfortunately, the bad news is, and this is kind of an update for what we talked about in the last recap, Pavel Dorofeyev went down the tunnel during the New York Rangers game. And unfortunately, it's bad news for the Vegas Golden Knights. Pavel Dorofeyev has suffered an upper body injury and will be out. So Pavel Dorofeyev did not suit up in this game. And we'll be curious to see how long he will be out. Best case scenario is he comes back for the Edmonton game. That would be best case scenario. Worst case scenario is that he does miss a certain amount of time. So no speculation here, but the confirmed report, Michael Amadio activated from IR, back in the starting lineup. Pavel Dorofeyev, he is out after suffering a upper body injury in their most recent game. So it will just be curious to see how the Vegas Golden Knights kind of perform with Dorofeyev out, because he's been pretty solid this year. And then there was the hit on Pavel Dorofeyev from New York Rangers defenseman Jacob Trouba. And the good news that came out from the NHL Department of Player Safety, it was announced that Jacob Trouba would be suspended for 2 games for his hit on Pavel Dorofeev. This was the hit that did injure Dorofeev and give him that upper body injury. So I'm kind of glad there is some repercussions here. Now, people in New York, you're going to complain, you're going to moan and groan and say that he didn't deserve that. But when you watch the hit back and you examine what happened, Jacob Trouba 100% deserved a 2-game suspension for that hit. So good move by the NHL Department of Player Safety. They don't normally get a lot of stuff right, but in this situation, they did make the right call here. So that hit on Pavel Dorofeev, the follow-up on that, he has been suspended 2 games, Jacob Trouba, from the New York Rangers. Now, the last part of the pregame note, Logan Thompson will be back in net for the Vegas Golden Knights in this game. And so Logan Thompson, who's had a 2-game break thanks to Adin Hill. Adin Hill, who came back from injury, he's played the last 2 games. Logan Thompson in net for Vegas tonight. So that's good news, really, to see the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights have Logan Thompson once again being in the net and having him in the crease for Vegas. So pretty far, just a really good situation there. I like what we're seeing from the Vegas Golden Knights when it comes to goaltending, especially what we've seen recently. Logan Thompson, he has won a good amount of his games recently. And then Adin Hill coming back, having a 2-game winning streak after returning from injury. So your Vegas Golden Knights, the goaltending seems like they're back at full strength, and that's great news for Vegas. Now, the starting lineup for this game, Vegas against Detroit. On the first line, you have Ivan Barbashev, Jonathan Marchessault, and Nick Waugh. This has been a lineup that has been doing incredible work over the last 2 weeks for your Vegas Golden Knights. Nick Waugh has really gelled with Jonathan Marchessault. Ivan Barbashev and Marchessault have really clicked over the last month, even when Jack Eichel was there at center. Barbashev and Waugh, they're doing good chemistry right now. The first line for Vegas has been one of the main reasons your Vegas Golden Knights have been getting goals. They've been scoring. They've been efficient on the offensive and defensive end, making good stops. I like what the first line has done. So Barbashev, Marchessault, and Waugh on the first line, and they have done a stand-up job so far over the last 2 weeks. They have been impressive. Michael Amadio back in the starting lineup once again. So you see him, you see Paul Cotter, and then you also have Chandler Stevenson on that line. So you see that right there. Some good situations here with Michael Amadio being back in the starting lineup. And I really like what we are seeing there. Obviously, your captain being there, Mark Stone, obviously a contributor on that end. You also have the fourth line, which has been a bit interesting, I will say, to say the least. So you have Brett Howden, you have King Kolazar, and you have Jonas Raumbeard. So that is your fourth line for your Vegas Golden Knights. So you got Howden, Kolazar, Raumbeard. You have Amadio, you have Cotter, and you have Rempel. You have Stevenson, and then you have all those guys in starting lineup. On the defensive pairings, you have Martinez, Pietrangelo, McNabb, Korzak, Haig, Whitecloud as your defensive pairings heading into this game for your Vegas Golden Knights, the last game on this 4-game road stand. So getting into this game right now, 5 minutes in, there wasn't much action. There was probably one opportunity by the Vegas Golden Knights. I actually saw one from Paul Cotter that I thought maybe had a chance of going in, but unfortunately, Alex Lyon, he just did not go past him. The Vegas Golden Knights were able to not get a puck into the back of the net. They did not score in that situation. But 5 minutes into the game, somebody did score. It just wasn't for Vegas. As 5 minutes in, Dylan Larkin with his 21st goal of the season, assisted by Alex DeBrincat and Lucas Raymond, and that would put them up at a 1-0 over the Vegas Golden Knights. Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat have done good over the last couple of months. I mean, Alex DeBrincat being brought over from the Ottawa Senators, the former Chicago Blackhawk back in the day, Him teaming up with Dylan Larkin has been a good duo there. Lucas Raymond, a young up-and-coming player in Detroit. He's got some good potential. I like what they see from him. And 5 minutes in, Dylan Larkin getting them on the board and helping the Detroit Red Wings get on the board and score first against the Vegas Golden Knights. And this is a situation where Dylan Larkin, he gets past Logan Thompson. Didn't really seem like there was anything Logan Thompson could have done on that end. It's just Dylan Larkin being a really good goal scorer and being efficient with the puck when it's on his stick. So Dylan Larkin, 21st goal of the season at the 5-minute mark in the first period, assisted by DeBrincat and Raymond. So you would have the home team go up by 1. Vegas Golden Knights would be 0. But it would get even worse for your Vegas Golden Knights as 2 minutes later, Jake Wallman with his 10th goal of the season, assisted by former Vegas Golden Knight David Perron and Mortis Sater. So, Vegas Golden Knights would be down by 2 within the first 7 minutes of this game. Just what a disappointing first couple of minutes for your Vegas Golden Knights. Don't want to sound disrespectful or harsh or anything, but the Vegas Golden Knights getting slow in the first period, it's been a reoccurring theme. We have seen it at least half a dozen times this year where your Vegas Golden Knights in the first half of the first period, the hustle isn't there. The energy is just lacking. It seems like the Vegas Golden Knights are kind of in neutral to begin the game. Now, I get it. Maybe the Vegas Golden Knights are like an old 67 Ford Mustang. Takes a while to get it warmed up and get it ready. But Vegas Golden Knights, it's just a situation where you're down by 2, 7 minutes into the game, and it's just not a good look for the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's just a sad situation to see that once again, we've seen it throughout the entire season. A slow start for Vegas where they're behind the 8 ball, and they are just down by 2 to begin the game. Now, there was some hope that maybe your Vegas Golden Knights would get back on the board. There'd be a chance for your Vegas Golden Knights to turn this around and get into some positive territory. And that indeed did happen. So about a minute later, after Detroit goes up by 2, your Vegas Golden Knights would get on the board. They would score. They would get onto the score sheet as Ivan Barbashev would have his 13th goal of the season, assisted by Alec Martinez and Nick Waugh to cut the deficit down to 1 for your Vegas Golden Knights. And what can I really say about Ivan Barbashev except he has just had a solid month for your Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, this is a Ivan Barbashev who, when you really study and break down what he has done over the past 10 games, let's just even go that far. The last 10 games that Ivan Barbashev has been, on the first line, he's been contributing for your Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, this is a guy who over his last 10 games has had 4 goals and 7 assists for your Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, just think about that. 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points, and is also the same Ivan Barbashev who is currently on a 6-game point streak for Vegas. So overall, Ivan Barbashev doing a really solid job for Vegas, and you have to give him credit. You have to give him some very much applause for what he is doing, a 6-game point streak currently for Ivan Barbashev. But Vegas would not be done. No. Vegas would not be done as about 2 minutes later, your Vegas Golden Knights would get back into the score sheet, and they would score once again as the Michigan-born Paul Cotter would get his 6th goal of the season, assisted by Alec Martinez and Alex Pietrangelo. So just like that, you go from 7 minutes in, being down by 2, a slow and sluggish start, to just bam, being now tied at 2 a few minutes later, halfway into the first period. Now, Paul Cotter has been a solid middle 6 forward for Vegas. There's been some times I've complained about him. Oh, definitely I have on this channel. But Paul Cotter, when he is on it, and when he's using his speed and using his quickness and his elusiveness to get down the ice, to go from the defensive zone to the offensive zone in a couple of seconds, Paul Cotter is a good member to have on your Vegas Golden Knights. That's what they can appreciate about a player like Paul Cotter. is that his skill set and what he can bring to the Vegas Golden Knights, it does matter. And it really does matter because your Vegas Golden Knights do need speed. They do need quickness. They need some young guys who are going to come down there and bring that energy to your forward lines. Pavel Dorofeev being out is actually a huge loss in that perspective because Pavel Dorofeev shows that energy. He has that aggression to him. And Paul Cotter is someone very similar who can drop the gloves if he needs to be, but he's also someone who can show some good skill at times. So Paul Cotter tying it up at 2 for your Vegas Golden Knights. Alec Martinez with back-to-back assists in this game. Alec Martinez, I've said that maybe age is starting to catch up with him. There's an argument to be made there, but in this game tonight, Alec Martinez provided a role for Vegas. Alec Martinez showed that he could be a leader in the locker room. He could be a good player to have on the ice, on the defense. And the way he blocks shots for Vegas is important as well. So Alec Martinez, solid job tonight. And in fact, his stat line, this is a guy who had 5 blocked shots in this game. So Alec Martinez, tip of the cap to him as well. We'll talk about him a little bit later when we get to the player of the game segment that we do on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. But Alex Pietrangelo, Alec Martinez with an assist, Paul Cotter with his 6th goal of the season. And, I will say when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, this is a guy that really has shown that he can be a solid middle 6 forward for the Vegas Golden Knights. So I like what we're seeing there. And, this is somebody that really has taken off over the last couple of years. Now, getting towards the end of the first period, the Vegas Golden Knights, with about 2 minutes left, they would go down once again as Joe Foligno would have his 9th goal of the season, assisted by Moritz Seider and Robbie Fabry. So you have Fabry, you have Seider, and then you have Foligno. And this would be the Detroit Red Wings going back up into the score column, being up by 1, getting towards the end of the first period. Now, Detroit Red Wings, I do have to acknowledge the young guys they have on their roster. Moritz Seider, he is a really good defenseman who's going to be a cornerstone and a franchise blue liner for Detroit for years to come. They got somebody special in him. And then Foligno, this is someone who they drafted a couple of years ago from a pick, actually, from the Vegas Golden Knights had in the Thomas Tatar trade. So, with the first period coming to an end, Vegas Golden Knights being down by 1, the only notable situations that happened in the first period was the lack of discipline. There was 2 penalties in the first period against Vegas, as Ivan Barbashev would trip Lucas Raymond, and then a few minutes later, Brayden McNabb would get a boarding penalty against Alex DeBrincat. And the Vegas Golden Knights, they'd be able to kill off the Barbashev penalty, but the power play goal from Foligno would actually bite Vegas back. So, unfortunately, that Brayden McNabb penalty did cost Vegas, allow Detroit to get back on the board. So they were 1 for 2 on the penalty kill in the first period. Now, the second period, really nothing happened in the second period. Outside of a JT Kumper high sticking penalty against Nick Hague and maybe some good shots from, for example, I remember Jonathan Marchessault. He had a shot on the right side that I thought had a chance of going in, but it just went wide. You also had a shot from the captain of the team that could have maybe gone 5-hole, but, Alex Lyon, he did what he needed to do in net. So for your Vegas Golden Knights, the second period was kind of a letdown, very underwhelming unless you're someone who loves the goaltender matchup and likes to see goalies just block shots all night. Then you probably did enjoy it. Now, the third period, there was some interest here. As to start the third period, about 2 minutes in, the goaltender, Alex Lyon, he would get a delay of game penalty and would put your Vegas Golden Knights on the power play for the second time in this game. Unfortunately, the Vegas Golden Knights did not capitalize in this situation. You had a shot from Alec Martinez in the high slot that I thought maybe had a chance of going in, but it just did not connect. and your Vegas Golden Knights would not score a goal on the power play, and they would be 0 for 2 in this game on the power play. So your Vegas Golden Knights, it's just a situation where they went 1 for 2 on the penalty kill, and they went 0 for 2 on the power play. Special teams did not show up in this game. Now, halfway into the third period, the Detroit Red Wings would actually grow the lead and go up by 2 as Andrew Cobb would have his 10th goal of the season, assisted by Michael Rasmussen. And the Vegas Golden Knights, unfortunately, they just could not catch up at this point. I mean, this is a Vegas Golden Knights team that seemed like they had a few chances in the second period. They had a chance on that power play to begin the third period, but it just did not happen. And over the last 5 minutes, the Vegas Golden Knights, they were trying to score goals. They were trying to get down there, but it just was too little, too late for your Vegas Golden Knights. And with about 2 minutes left, the Vegas Golden Knights would pull the goalie. It would be an empty net situation, 6-on-5. And Dylan Larkin with an empty net goal, his 22nd of the season, assisted by JT Kumper and Lucas Raymond to make it a 5-2 game for the Detroit Red Wings. So your Vegas Golden Knights, unfortunately, would not pick up the win on this night. And you know what? I understand losses happen, but the way the Vegas Golden Knights looked bad in the first 7 minutes of the first period, and then had an excellent next 7 minutes of the first period, and then they seemed like they just kind of lost momentum as a second period, and definitely in the third period. Vegas was just losing steam as time went on. So unfortunately for your Vegas Golden Knights, they just did not pick up the win in a vital game for Vegas as the Pacific Division is getting tighter and tighter right now. I mean, when you just study the rest of the NHL, I mean, if you look at the box scores and you check the standings of the NHL at this moment in time, I mean, you really can't let up games really much longer. I mean, as this is a Saturday night right now, I mean, you study the rest of the league right now, the Edmonton Oilers have won 16 in a row. The Edmonton Oilers are now 29-15-1. Your Vegas Golden Knights at this present moment in time, this is their win-loss record. Just think about that for a minute. They are a team that is around the same as the Edmonton Oilers, and it just seems like the Vegas Golden Knights, they have to kind of look around and hope that this is just a phase of them losing these games like 5-2, 6-3. You know, heck, if you lose a 7-4 game, that's not good either. But, you know, really looking at the rest of the Western Conference, I mean, the Vancouver Canucks right now, 33-11-5. And then you compare that to Vegas's record. You also see teams right now in the Western Conference that are trying to build momentum. The Winnipeg Jets have 30 wins, 12 losses, and 5 overtime losses on the year. And, you know, it just seems like the Vegas Golden Knights, you know, they can't have a 50-50 kind of situation. I mean, at this point in time, your Vegas Golden Knights, they need to find a way to win 6 out of 10. Or they need to find a way to win 5 but have 2 overtime losses so they get points in 7 out of 10 games. Because if you don't score points in 70% of the next games that you have, the Vegas Golden Knights are just not going to have as strong of a season as people are hoping for. Now, right now, when you're actually examining and studying the Pacific Division, like I said, the Vancouver Canucks, 33 wins on the year. The Edmonton Oilers are at 29 wins on the year. And then when you even step back and you study the LA Kings, 22 wins on the year, but they have 9 overtime losses. So that's kind of propelling them to be around that level for those teams. I mean, this is just what the Pacific Division and more importantly, what the Western Conference is going to be looking like for pretty much the rest of the season at this point. You can't have too many dud games where you're not scoring points and you're not being productive. So unfortunately, that's a little bit of a rant, I know. But when it comes to the rest of the Pacific, the Vegas Golden Knights right now, they're kind of battling with Edmonton to kind of see where they would be in terms of seeding. And then the LA Kings, all those overtime losses, keeping them in the fight at this present moment. Player of the game will go to defenseman Alec Martinez. He had 2 points, both goals. He was an assist on that game. Now, Alec Martinez, the native from Minnesota, when it comes to Alec Martinez, this is a guy who has been with Vegas for a couple of years, and someone who, when you look at Alec Martinez and the fact that he is from Rochester Hills, Michigan, this is someone in Alec Martinez that, good veteran in this game tonight. He did show some discipline. Like I said, 5 blocked shots in this game. He definitely earned that paycheck in this game at Little Caesars Arena in Detroit. And it's just a situation where it was just a bad game. It happens. It is what it is. And since we have about 5 minutes left here on the Vegas Hockey Hub recap show, it's time to go over the team stats between Detroit and Vegas. The Vegas Golden Knights had 1 more shot than Detroit, 30 for Vegas, 29 for Detroit. Detroit out-hit Vegas 14-10, and both teams had 2 penalties in this game, so kind of even there. The faceoff circle was won by the Vegas Golden Knights, a 56% complete faceoff win percentage for Vegas, so they did good in the center circle. Your Vegas Golden Knights 0 for 2 on the power play. Detroit went 1 for 2, and Detroit went 2 for 2 on the penalty kill. Vegas went 1 for 2 on the penalty kill. In terms of block shots, Vegas had 2 more than Detroit. It was a 12-10 in that situation. And then for takeaways, Vegas had 1 more than Detroit, 6 for Vegas, 5 for Detroit. And the schedule moving forward for your Vegas Golden Knights as we are recapping this game here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. So you're going to have the Edmonton Oilers, the Arizona Coyotes, and the Minnesota Wild as your next opponents for the Vegas Golden Knights. And these are going to be impactful games for sure. I mean, we're going to be at the Minnesota Wild game. I'm going to be at that game out there with the Minnesota Wild, and this should be a fun game to go to. But then, the Edmonton Oilers, 16 wins in a row. They're going to be taking on Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. Probably going to be one of the most sold-out games. It's going to be a must-see, much-watch opponent for Vegas. And the Arizona Coyotes, I hate to say this, but, when you take on the Arizona Coyotes, it's a mixed bag. There'll be some nights that Arizona is dominant and looks like a deadly team. And then there's some nights that the Arizona Coyotes, you put up 5 against within the first period. So Arizona is a mixed bag. Sometimes they could be Jackal. Sometimes they could be Hyde. But, Vegas Golden Knights taking on Arizona after Edmonton, and then Minnesota after Arizona. So the next couple of games will be interesting for sure for your Vegas Golden Knights. And you have the Carolina Hurricanes game actually after the Minnesota Wild. So even Carolina at T-Mobile Arena should be a good game to see. So that is your Vegas Golden Knights upcoming. We have to mention this for the show, but yes, indeed, it's been fun. I can see say, but I got a minute left here in the show. Our studio, our revamped, new and improved studio for Vegas Hockey Hub Recap has been built and completed. So for the recap show that we're going to be doing for the Edmonton Oilers game, we're going to be debuting and kind of showing off the brand new studio for the Vegas Golden Knights. That's going to be a really cool situation there. For the past month, we have been doing this style format because we have been making some changes to the background and making some upgrades to the studio. So that's why we had to do just audio only. But that's going to be really excited. I'm really happy to announce that. So yeah, stay tuned for the Edmonton Oilers game, because when we do that recap show, I will be showing off our brand new studio and our background here. And there's going to be a lot of good stuff to discuss. And I'm really happy to show it off. We've been spending about a month working on it. So this is Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And until next time, continue watching hockey. Go support junior hockey. And go Knights, go.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.